Welcome to the program, everybody. Happy Thursday to everybody out there. Good morning to you. My name is Paul Harrell, and we got a great show for you. A breath of fresh air, some good news, some accountability, further accountability. We, of course, remember what happened, I don't know, how long ago was that? A couple months ago at this point, where we found out that the SPLC was essentially funding false flags, funding white supremacy groups, and you kind of ask yourself, are there any other groups doing the same thing? And so we got that indictment. We now have a superseding indictment where the former CFO of the Southern Poverty Law Center has now been indicted. She was arrested, according to reports yesterday. She was actually arrested for money laundering. And this is the same lady that we've actually talked about before, how she was shacking up with a white supremacist, and they shared a bank account. And, you know, it's absolutely nuts to think, as the FBI under Democrat administrations was telling everybody that the white person, the white male, was the greatest domestic terror threat that this country faces. You know, if you're white and if you like to barbecue and you like to shoot fireworks on the 4th of July, you may be a terrorist. All of this was being funded via the SPLC, creating their own enemy, and then going to donors and saying, hey, we need more money because, see, look, the groups are there. There's a real threat there. The white supremacists are about to take over. And it was all a lie. We're going to talk about that. Also, Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary for Donald Trump, the White House has decided she is going to step aside. She came back from maternity leave. We're assuming she just wants to spend time with her family, which is totally understandable for a mother of her age. We're going to talk about that as well as so much more. We've got this judge out of California that released a violent criminal back out on the streets, and then he immediately stabbed somebody to death. At what point do we say enough is enough? We don't have to live like this. And at what point are judges held accountable here? The judge in this case is culpable for the murder. She is an accessory to the murder. At what point do these judges start to, not just losing your job, not just being impeached, not just being removed from the bench, but no, you are now going to jail yourself. We're going to talk about it. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
I think we're back up. We had a little, I saw on my end, one of the streams was having a little bit of problem, but I think we're back up and running there. Broadcast. Go ahead, Rob. What you got?
Yeah, apparently we were still streaming on all of our other platforms, so I guess this was a little bit.
It was just a hiccup. I saw it too. I saw the LFA mainstream go yellow for a second. I've got five. We got 5 different streams going, and then some of these streams go one place, and then when they get there, they go other places.
Sure.
But yeah. It looks like we're recovered.
Okay.
Now, so
all right. Hey, we're back.
We're back.
All right. Good morning, everybody. This is. I'm glad to see the accountability, Paul. I'm with you on that because we've had so little of it that it feels a little bit frustrating at times. The boss here in the chat, Jeremy Harrell, brought up a great point. He's like, hey, when we talk about this SPLC funding here, how much of that was influencing January 6thers? Okay. Like, was this money being funneled into there as part of agitators as well?
Or Charlottesville. You got to also.
I 100% believe Charlottesville was an SPLC feature.
Well, there's some people that even say, and I don't know how accurate this is, how definitive it is, but I do think there is at least some evidence to suggest that the Azov battalion from Ukraine was actually also involved, in essentially creating a false flag as well. Basically they want a race war.
Yes.
And so they've got to create their own enemy. It's classic false flag. If you ever seen the movie Princess Bride, I've got a war to start. I've got my wife, I've got my wife to murder and this other country to frame for it.
I don't don't think that means what you think it means. Anyway, yeah, that's a great movie. My wife hates that movie. We've talked about that before, but I completely agree. Does anybody listen? Only a naive idiot that is refusing. They're sitting there with their head in the sand. Only if you're truly naive and you buy the government's narrative on all of this stuff, do you believe that this woman is somehow innocent. That this woman somehow, she's just an innocent bystander, and this is the Trump administration. This is the weaponization of the DOJ. Bull. We saw the weaponization of the Department of Justice under Joe Biden and Merrick Garland. We absolutely saw that when they were doing FBI raids of preachers for silently praying in front of abortion clinics, which we've covered. But anyway, if you're naive, you think this is all a setup and a hoax. Anybody that's a rational person that's willing to look at this and say that this, number one, was the biggest, one of the hugest, hugest is not a word, but one of the largest. There we go. That's the word I was searching for. One of the largest money laundering scheme organizations. USAID, I think, was probably number one. Good grief. But I believe some of that funding was coming. Listen, I think it was all intertwined as well. Mm-hmm. I feel like everybody was kind of working with everybody behind these scenes. Stoking,
and you also have to say here as well, you can't just say this is the SPLC. Mm-hmm. I think there are other orgs as well that I'd love to look into. But when I say not just the SPLC, what I'm saying is stuff like this doesn't get pulled off without the intelligence oligarchy. Running these psyops, false flags against the people, controlling
there is
the
a
media.
Puppet master at the top. Who it is, I don't know.
But you think about it, and you're like, obviously, we know that in a lot of tragedies that we hear about, you start doing the research, and eventually it comes out, oh, this guy was in contact with the FBI before, or the FBI knew about this beforehand, or this guy had what appears to be an FBI handler. You go back to the Draw Mohammed contest in Texas, where that guy showed that guy, according to some reporting, was affiliated with the FBI, like knew an FBI guy. So you start to think, okay, the FBI, there's evidence out there to suggest that they don't exist to solve crimes. They exist in some cases to create crimes and then cover them up. Okay, so it's much easier to do that. Mm-hmm. So we can see a pattern of that happening. It's much easier to do that if it's not the FBI directly doing it. Instead, you take one of these organizations like the SPLC, you co-opt them into doing it for you, and so you have one more layer of insulation.
Every bit of it is proxy. You are working behind the scenes to manipulate, like the puppet master. You are manipulating these organizations, these individuals, all to get some sort of outcome, to have some sort of distraction. Now, I did read this book that's called Operation Pale Horse, and it was from a retired FBI. I've talked about it on the show, but it's been about a year ago. Retired FBI undercover agent, and he infiltrated biker gangs. Now, a lot of them truly are white supremacist. And he talked about all of these things that they were planning. They were planning to do this. They were planning to do that. They were planning to do this, but they never do this stuff. And that's why it was so insulting that Merrick Garland and Joe Biden went on national television more times than I can count and said that white supremacy is the most dangerous thing that we are facing here in the United States. No. It's the puppet masters pulling the strings, trying to cause a race war. It's the puppet masters pulling the strings, trying to get the Republicans riled up so that we stormed the Capitol. Okay, it's the puppet masters trying to manipulate the entire government when they say, and many people have said, and in a lot of ways I agree with it, that the President of the United States is not the most powerful man in the United States. It is this deep, dark state that's working behind the scenes to manipulate, to funnel money, all of this stuff. And how do you expose something that's so large? I don't know, but this is a huge step in the right direction. Now, back to what I was saying about the FBI, how he went undercover to.
Is this
to
the book right here?
Yes.
Pale Horse, right?
Yes, that was his undercover name. So he went by that on not all of them, but some of them. And there was one where he was being strip searched.
I've heard him recount that in interviews.
Yeah,
Harrowing.
And so he was being strip searched in a basement of a bar, and he had a wire on him at that time.
And they had plastic wrap on the floor, meaning if they found it, they were going to kill him right there.
Dead. Yep. He's dead. And he had this wire on him. Well, he was wearing like this flannel shirt, and he said somehow by the grace of God that wire, was I guess it was he just didn't detect it. The guy that was feeling the shirt after he took it off. Anyway, it's a phenomenal book, and if you're an audiobook person, Scott Payne reads the book. It's phenomenal. But every time he said, and when he talked about all this stuff, and by the way, Scott Payne is a conservative. He went on Joe Rogan. That's how I found the book as well. So it's don't think it's like a leftist book at all. He is very, very much a conservative. And white supremacy does exist. Let's not be naive and say that it doesn't exist. But every incident that he was talking about was always what they're planning. And we foiled it, but they were planning. And I'm just like, I don't think I'm getting nervous about planning. I think I'm getting nervous about the radical Islamics that are causing terror all across the globe, including here in the United States. We've had multiple terror incidents, all of that stuff, and we're just supposed to blindly live next to these Muslims and say, are you in the 75% or the 25%? Okay, are you radicalized or are you a peaceful Muslim? How am I supposed to know? And
how are you supposed to trust the answer?
Well, yeah. What are you going to say? Oh,
I mean,
not the radical at all. Not the radical.
Obviously.
I like Burger King. Yeah. Not the radical. Listen, I don't know why Burger King just was American there. I love America.
I think the real test would be like get a pork shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Cook it for them.
Eat this bacon.
Them. If they eat it, you're probably okay.
Yeah, eat these bacon-wrapped pork chops, Anyway, regardless, I've gone off on a lot of tangents here, but I'm just going to say that I'm so glad to see about this, and let's hear the details.
This was the CNN headline: exclusive former employee of the Southern Poverty Law Center arrested on fraud charges. Where did my Gateway Pundit article go on this? That's the one I had. But hang on a second. Here's the. United States Attorney's Office second superseding indictment adds defendant and charges in Southern Poverty Law case. So this lady, basically, and we actually covered this, or I know I covered it at one point because somebody did a deep dive on her before the superseding indictment. I think there were some references maybe to this activity where they were trying to figure out who exactly was the CFO doing this. And of course, they figured it out that it's this lady that now just got indicted. Bayrich is her last name. Heidi L. Bayrich, a 59 out of Palm Springs.
She sounds like a libtard.
Kind of does. New charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to commit false statements to a federally insured bank. The new indictment also adds Bayrich as a defendant to the previously charged count of conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering and charges the SPLC with an additional count of concealment money laundering. Bayrich was served with an arrest warrant this morning in the Central District of California and is expected to make her initial appearance in court this afternoon. This was yesterday. The charges arise from an alleged scheme involving the use of donated funds and financial accounts associated with fictitious entities. As previously alleged, the scheme involved efforts to conceal the source, ownership, and control of the funds, and to make false representations concerning the use of donated money and the operation of financial accounts.
It ain't so.
The second superseding indictment expands the case to include the alleged participation of Bayrich and additional conduct involving the movement and concealment of proceeds, because she was literally sharing a bank account, I believe, with this guy that was working with white supremacists, and they were shacking up together. The Southern Poverty Law Center was previously charged. Okay, let me
listen. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe any of it, Paul. They just wouldn't do that. Listen. SPLC, their only goal is for equality in ethnicity, in the races. We need to make sure that everyone is treated equally. That's what our goal is. It's certainly not money laundering. It's certainly not trying to dredge up a race war so that we can receive more funding. No, that would not play into our motivation. Our existence is just to help mediate. We don't instigate. Bull. We see that, and we're seeing, hopefully, that this is more than just an arrest. I need a conviction. I need jail time. Anybody else convicted of money laundering on that scale? You're talking. It's white. I mean, they're going to be in a white collar prison, but they're going to go to prison.
Yeah. Well, and again, this has to do with false flagging the entire country forever for decades. I mean, you even can go back to the mysteries that still exist around the Oklahoma City bombing, and you can find the SPLC had people on the ground there too.
Yeah.
That were, they were there doing something. I don't know. They're going to, they were an informant. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's weird.
Yeah,
I mean, why you guys are not the FBI, or are you the FBI?
So maybe somebody can help us in our chat here. If anybody knows the answer to this question, who issues federal 501c3s? Essentially, what I'm trying to get at is who is in charge of 501c3s and who could revoke one? Because if there has ever been a need to revoke a 501c3, this one, with all of the fraud that's been uncovered, and let's just be honest, it's the tip of the iceberg with this organization. So if this place can't lose its 501c3 nonprofit status, what will? So somebody in the so they're saying that would be the the boss says that's the IRS, that the IRS issues. But Jeremy, are they the ones that actually issue the 501c3?
Yeah,
I believe the revocation would come through.
I believe that's the case. I mean, you have to apply all 501c3 through the IRS in some capacity.
So Scott, so Jeremy's saying so Scott Bessent would be the one essentially that could pull that 501c3. You want to talk about a gangster move right there? Awesome. Scott Bessent's already
after the
awesome.
I mean, look, if they do get a conviction here, yes. I mean, that's the obvious. I mean, that's obvious at that point.
Is she okay? Remind me, is she the former or
during this time she's not the
CFO
anymore. But this again, it comes about this headline. I think encapsulates it good. Arrested on charges for secretly funneling payments to white supremacist groups. You're literally creating the enemy. You're creating the problem, and then going to fundraise off of it.
No, again, Paul. No one would do that.
Just, what's funny?
No one would do that.
Like we've all. This is, and I know this is an old story. I mean, new story because it's a new indictment. But those of us on the right, when you go when we go to have our conversations with whoever we're having, or whether you're on a talk show or whether you're at the water cooler at work, right? You would never. You would think this in the back of your mind, maybe. Right, you'd be like, I think the left is evil, but and they are. But especially 10 years ago, you would come at it with let's try to find the lowest common denominator so we can agree or agree to disagree or whatever. But in the back of your mind, you would be like, man, I bet the SPLC is paying these people. I don't really. I mean, look around you, man. Mm-hmm. Look around, like. We're told the media that this country is so racist. A country that 7 years after 9/11 elected Barack Hussein Obama. Now, okay, who knows how secure our elections were at this point. But anyway, just for the sake of argument, we're told we're the most racist country in the world. The media tells us that. Hollywood tells us that. Hollywood loves to
police
dunk on the South, right?
Yeah,
but when you actually go to our cities, when you actually move around in the South or it's like people get along quite well. People of different skin color, they may not be best friends, but like we are civil people and would go and help somebody if they needed it and that sort of thing. We are not what we are portrayed to be. And so you're at the water cooler in these conversations, and in the back of your mind, though, you think, man, I wonder. I mean, I wonder if this is just but you might not articulate that because you have no evidence of it. What I'm trying to say is, your wildest dreams about how evil the left is, like in the back of your mind, it's almost as if you have the thought, keep it yourself. There's somebody somewhere that's already doing it. There's somebody somewhere that is that corrupt, is that wicked, is that evil, and we're fundamentally just we're fundamentally surrounded by liars who are our elites are just liars. They lie to get out of accountability, but they lie to create their own problems to make sure their mission never goes away.
Yeah, I mean,
it's disgusting, man. It's absolutely disgusting. And she needs to go to jail for a long time, and the SPLC needs to be consigned to the dustbin of history.
And we keep seeing this as well in every political cycle where the party out of party creates this fear that that if they're not put back into power, that this is the end, that this is the last. And in some ways, I honestly believe had Donald Trump not won in 2024, that our country here in 2026 would be unrecognizable. I think we were
the border alone would have been insane.
We were holding on by a thread to make it through the Biden administration there with those last few years. So I do believe that there's some truth to that. But it goes back to what I've said about John Thune, that I wonder if part of the motivation is that it's sometimes easier to fundraise if you're in the minority, because it's people are more motivated because they don't like what they're seeing, and Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden, and they're doing all of this stuff. And so you start, I got to give money. I got to make sure that I get Republicans in there. Mm-hmm. Now, we've talked about being really happy with some of the things that the Republicans have done, but there's also been some frustrations, mostly with the Senate. I think Donald Trump keeps signing all of these. He keeps signing all of these executive orders. He can only do so much. We got to have the damn Senate step up and actually pass this stuff. And I've bragged on Mike Johnson. I don't agree with everything that Mike Johnson said. I don't want to be so repetitive about it, but I think it's noteworthy. I don't agree with everything that Mike Johnson does. But damn it, man, he is leading his party with a razor-thin majority. And for the most part, he is getting Donald Trump's agenda passed.
And putting it in the lap of the Senate.
It's going there to die a death. Yeah. It's being imploded. We're going on 5-week vacation here.
Yeah, I've got that clip too. I mean, we got to talk about that.
Okay.
Remind me, because there's actually a really good article that I did pull on the John Thune thing over at, never heard of this place before, CNAV News, headline, "A Modest Proposal," which is a play on that satirical piece from long ago about the babies. A modest proposal. We should eat senators. No, that's not what it says. A modest proposal. Performance reviews for senators. Suppose all senators had to face a recall referendum every month, even a non-binding one, to provide an official approval rating, ? The idea behind this is that these people never move unless they think there's an election coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's just like, with South Carolina and the late Lindsey Graham. Nobody really, you go on for 5 years. You'll show up year 6 to ask for their vote again, and that's the same thing that happens. Same thing that happens here in Arkansas too, by the way, and that happens in a lot of these places. And that's why the 17th Amendment, is that the one with the senators? That's the real answer here, is to go back to state legislatures electing the senators.
After the first 5 or 6, I kind of lose what the amendments are.
Yeah, of course. Here is real quick. We're going to bookend this segment with the SPLC. Heidi Barrich, CFO, SPLC, who was just arrested for secretly funding white supremacy Nazi groups, complained a few years ago how fast the Nazi groups were exploding under Donald Trump. So to give you, this is a good deal. Let's just say here, I complain all the time about accountability. I complain about the lack of accountability, okay? And I definitely think there's bigger conspiracies to go after bigger deep staters, intel oligarchy people. Yes, right, but let's celebrate this for a second, because the SPLC is the enemy.
Yeah.
The SPLC is our enemy. And they are being punished. And the modern iteration of the SPLC is functionally being made illegal. It's being exposed. And we got to keep going and do more. We got to put the pedal to the metal. But this is a really good outcome today.
Yeah, it is, and we're going to play the video here in just a second, right? So before you get started, I mean, this lady looks like she used to do porn in the 80s, and then she ballooned up and was unfortunately unable to continue in the business because she got so fat. And so what she started doing was going into starting race wars. I think that's her life story. I'm pretty sure at this point I could write an autobiography about it.
This was our thumbnail. It's she's.
Her biography,
I think the vibe that she gives off is something akin to like a final boss. The question is what's the name of the video game you're playing? But she's kind of like potentially the final boss. of some video game. I don't know. What would we say? It would be like
She looked like a desert troll at the end of a Mario or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, you'd have to call it like I don't know, Woke Race Wars 11 or something.
You think on that one, and you get back to us.
All right. Here she is warning about the dangers of white supremacy. And keep in mind, when you watch this, she's literally giving money to the white supremacists.
You couldn't script this any better, folks.
The number of hate groups has been increasing pretty rapidly and frighteningly really since 2000. So in the 1990s, the number of hate groups sort of bounced around 450, a little up, a little down every year. And then in 2000, we started to see a sustained rise, which ultimately led to a doubling of groups. And what's interesting about this is that the year 2000 is the year that the Census Bureau told Americans that white people would become a minority in the future, in 2042. And a lot of hate groups all of a sudden started to, begin to recruit. White supremacists commit far more acts of domestic terrorism in the United States than radical Islamists, for example. These groups have seen their numbers increase, particularly since Donald Trump started campaigning. There are other organizations that call themselves the alt-right that literally didn't exist 2 years ago. And a lot of the ferment and activity, the protests, the rallies and whatnot, are circulated around the alt-right groups right now. In particular, groups that attach themselves directly to Donald Trump's campaign have seen their ranks grow. So we've got a hate problem larger than we've ever had.
We got a hate problem.
Yeah. Listen, she got
larger than life.
She got angry after her porn days. She seemed a lot nicer back in the 80s, No, listen, look, what is so comical about this, Paul, and it is that that every word out of her mouth just now was a lie.
Yeah.
Now, it was baked in what we were seeing in headlines and what we were seeing.
Yes, the media, definitely the apparatus there.
Correct.
It all works together.
It's the Nancy Pelosi playbook, right? You whisper in the ear of a reporter.
The wrap-up smear.
Right, and then it goes to this one. You whisper in another one, and then you're able to say it's being reported. Right?
Yeah.
Which it's all bull. It's all complete lies. And this woman was pulling the strings. Now, somebody was pulling her strings. Let's be honest. Someone was pulling, because she's not just sitting here. She's not that woman is not some massive mastermind.
Right.
It ain't her. Okay. She is in that position, and she was being used as a tool. She is now expendable. So the deep state has said, hey, we're going to let you go. Or maybe they, made a mistake. I'm not trying to say that the deep state is infallible. They may have just made a mistake. And finally, this stuff is getting exposed. I don't think they like it being exposed. But this piece of trash right here went on there and just completely destroyed the white race, was saying all of this stuff about us that's not true, creating this race war, creating this division, in all in the names of money, and so that it keeps feeding you. It's like a plumber showing up at my house and busting all the pipes in my house and then knocking on the front door saying, it looks like you got a problem here. Oh gosh, we're seeing a big rise of problems like this.
Yeah.
It's apparently the biggest problem facing Americans today.
Yeah, it also reminds you of like a shakedown, like you go into a business in a neighborhood, hey, you need the mob's protection, And it's like, well, what if I don't pay you for protection? Oh, well, we're going to do,
It's then like you'll need protection from us.
It's like a mutated version of that.
Let's just be honest with you. You're paying us so that we won't beat the hell out of you.
Right.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, we're going to church it up.
Yeah,
we're going to say this.
Pay me so I don't murder your whole family and burn your business to the ground.
Lord have mercy.
But yeah, it's crazy, folks, and let's hope these people go to jail for a long time. Let's not stop there. We got to keep going. What other organizations? And I'm thinking of the ADL. What other organizations have also been doing this?
NAACP.
There you go.
That is a trash organization. NAACP, garbage. I wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire. Garbage. Their intent to protect minorities and to look at their interest. Absolutely a noble event. I mean, I'm not going to besmirch any organization for that. But they will stand on national television with the Reverend stupid-ass Sharpton standing up there. Ben Crump is now this attorney that goes all over. We're seeing it locally with a local person that was punched by one of our state troopers has hired Ben Crump. Okay, that is here in Arkansas. It was the 18-year-old girl who resisted arrest, and the state trooper punched her in the face.
That's a harrowing video.
It is. He should not have punched her in the face. But what everybody is skipping past is that girl was absolutely resisting arrest.
I know.
She turned around.
Look, and that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I said. Like, would you ever, if you got arrested, are you going to resist arrest? Or are you just going to put me in the car?
If you start resisting arrest and you start, you're pulling your hands away, every attorney will say, do not resist arrest. We're going to fight it in court.
Yeah.
We're going to fight it in court. But if you start resisting, all bets are off. I mean, something's going to happen. The police officer, you are going in handcuffs.
Right.
One way or the other. We're just going to see how many bruises and scrapes and cuts that you get in the meantime.
This girl is much smaller than this
18-year-old little girl, and the state trooper punched her.
And the
should not have done
terrible in terms of just
should not have done it.
The optics of it. I want to call my mom, and then he just punches her.
It was bad optics. Folks, I'm sorry, we're talking about a video that you may not have seen, but it's actually been covered on national news.
It's a big deal in Arkansas right now.
Well, anyway, we'll talk about it later as more developments come. My whole point of it is the NAACP and Ben Crump will stand his stupid ass, race baiting ass up there at a press conference and knowingly lie. Sue me, Ben Crump, because you knowingly lie. You go up there and you give falsehoods so that it creates a narrative that police are out there hunting black people, when we know that the numbers of unarmed black people are less on a case-by-case basis than other races here in the United States. And they said, well, it's because we're only 13% of the population, though. Yeah, but we've talked about this yesterday. You're committing 50% of the violent crimes. You're going to have more police encounters, okay? And, Charlie Kirk would always ask those people that would come up, and they would say, hey, are these police officers out there and they're murdering? How many people do you think they're getting killed? Some people, there's one girl that said, like 250,000. Are you nuts? What the hell kind of news are you listening to? And Charlie goes, it's actually 9. 9 people. Well, they shouldn't be any of them. And he goes, and that's not including the ones that actually had a knife that had dropped it or had access. The gun was close by, because that's still, it just blows my mind. And the organizations like the SPLC, the NAACP, they lost their quest for good. It is attention, money, the black race before anything else. Like, when has the NAACP went and tried to help an Asian American?
Right.
Yeah. When the hell has that happened? Okay. When has the SPLC stepped in to help I don't know, a Jewish person? Of course, I know that most Jewish people are white, but that's a bad example. But regardless, they're a trash organization. I was trying to lose weight like 10 years ago. And have you ever done that thing where you're, trying to lose weight and you write a check to somebody, an organization, and you let a friend who's holding you accountable? Have you ever done this before?
I have not.
Okay.
Clearly.
So
I have not.
So I had gained some weight after I left school teaching, and because I wasn't up and moving around as much. So I wrote a $500 check, and my buddy Jack goes, hey, who would you just be so pissed off if I sent this check to? And I said, well, number one, maybe the Westboro Baptist Church. You remember those lunatics? Yeah. Okay. The ones that say God loves dead soldiers and all this. They were garbage. And he goes, I'm going to have you think on that one, because if you don't reach your weight loss goal, you're going to be on record as a donation to this. And I said, good point. Good point. I'm not going to do that.
Whoa, dude, that is hilarious.
I'm glad that he stopped me.
I mean, maybe I do need to do this. Maybe I need to write a check to something I hate, some cause I cannot stand.
It'll work for you. So anyway, I ended up writing the check to the NAACP. Luckily, I hit my weight loss goal, and Jack tore that check up, and it was not sent in. But I was that close to donating $500 to a garbage organization, and I knew that 10 years ago. Look at where they've come now. Man, the NAACP, I know I keep talking about that, but I think that they're cut from the same cloth, this SPLC.
Real quick, also in kind of the same realm of accountability, this was interesting. When we covered Jeanine Pirro, reportedly these tensions between her and President Trump. Obviously, President Trump said she folded like an umbrella. And
I wish he wouldn't do that.
About the whole reflecting pool thing and that sort of thing. But now it looks like this headline here, U.S. Attorney makes rare move by convening special grand jury in Washington. D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro has taken the rare step of convening a special grand jury in Washington, according to the Washington Post. It will be overseen by Stephen Vander Velden, a key Pirro lieutenant, the Post said. Vander Velden has run some of the office's most contentious investigations, including the failed probe of then Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. See, there's been a few things that have stacked up here, right? Like, not only do those of us on the right want to end the Fed, we want to go after people like Jerome Powell, these guys that are untouchable, right? We got to have some Elliot Nesses out there, folks. We got to have some Elliot. What are you prepared to do? So a special grand jury case, potentially scathing report. Hang on, I lost my place. Including the failed probe with then Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell and an inquiry into whether D.C. police tampered with their own crime statistics. Unlike a regular grand jury, a special grand jury can issue a potentially scathing report on the target of an investigation, even when prosecutors ultimately decide there isn't enough evidence to bring charges. Okay. Well, that's not what we want. We don't want one of those reports.
Yeah, let's talk about this overall. Let's talk about this one overall. And that is that Judge Jeanine Pirro, and I've said this, Pirro, I've heard it both ways, but I mean, I loved
Pirro.
her.
It is Pirro.
I loved her when she was on Fox. Loved her because, oh my gosh, man. She would cuss somebody out without using a single cuss word. That's how good she was at just making her point, and she is a true blue, absolutely red running through her veins in more than one way because she is a conservative.
What I'm hearing from you is that you're a fan.
I'm a huge fan of this woman, and I don't like it when somebody does one thing that Trump doesn't agree with there, and that he just says, he called her. What did he say? I can't remember. But I'm not the president of the United States. I'm not hearing everything that he's hearing. Maybe he had some different evidence that was presented to him. I just don't like the internal fighting when I think that the enemy right now is the rise of socialists. I think that is something that is noteworthy because, as I said yesterday, some of these candidates are going to be in Congress next year. They have knocked off long-term incumbents in these blue districts, and so they're going to be in Congress next year. They're going to continue to grow until they get in power and fail miserably, and then people get sick of them and throw them out. But what has happened then, at that point, we're all suffering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I love Judge Jeanine. I hope her and Trump make amends here.
But one quick note on this. What is this special grand jury going to be investigating? The article says we don't know. It is not yet known what this would be assembled for. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
And I'll be very excited to see it. Want to remind everybody that the Paul Harrell program is powered by the Healing Veterans Project. This is a charity that wants to do one thing: get red light therapy into the homes of veterans who can't afford it. At the Healing Veterans Project, we have a long list of veterans who have been prescribed these panels by their doctors, but the VA, unfortunately, will not cover it. The VA will cover opioids, they'll cover addictive pharmaceuticals, but they won't cover red light therapy. Now, many of you may not know about red light therapy, but I've been advertising red light panels on this program for a couple of years now. I believe in the therapy called photobiomodulation. It is scientific. It does incredible things to your body, like stimulate the mitochondria, increase blood flow. And these have incredible effects on pain, on nerve pain, on PTSD, on traumatic brain injury. It's really a catch-all. It does so many great things. And you have to have the right panel, obviously. There's a lot of cheaper panels out there that aren't actually third-party tested. But that's what we're trying to do. This changes lives. This will help our veterans heal in a big way. And so you can go give an individual donation by scanning the QR code on your screen there, healingveteransproject.us. That's healingveteransproject.us. Or I want you to email me, Paul@healingveteransproject.us, if you're a business owner, specifically a retail business owner that's got a point-of-sale kiosk, because we want to partner with you. We can even give you an affiliate marketing a fee to help with the expense. To partner with us, so you can help veterans. You can tell your customers you're helping veterans, and you can also ask your customers, hey, donate $1, donate $5, or would you like to do that at checkout? And I know sometimes that may be seen as annoying, but there are great people out there who are generous who do give at those kiosks. So email me if you're a business or you know of a business owner. Put me in contact with them. We're going to make it worth their while. We're going to help these veterans get the therapy they need. I am pleased to partner with the Healing Veterans Project.
Yeah, and Pure out here. Not saying that correctly, I know, but great to have him in the chat. They do. I've seen a lot of his comments, but anyway, I wish the VA did pay for red light therapy so I could alleviate my daily pain.
Well, maybe you need to get on our list. Maybe we need to get you in contact with a doctor or something, to evaluate it. And then you can get in line,
Yeah.
And if you want to do that, by the way, go ahead and email me that as well. Any veterans out there that, because we're assembling the list, but we also got to assemble the funds first. But we've got a list, and it's growing because we've got doctors prescribing these panels, and you got to hear the story of Matt Troy, the founder of Healing Veterans Project. For the last year, he's been trying to get the VA to cover just one panel for this one Purple Heart veteran, and the story of what this guy did in Vietnam, I've read about it, is incredible. The amount of lives this guy saved, the amount of enemies he killed.
Patty, okay.
And so, but yeah, email me and we'll figure out a way to get you guys on the list.
Yeah.
And then when we continue to raise money for this great charity, we'll get you a panel.
Yeah, Patty, reach out to Paul there and at least get you on the list, and we'll see. Yep. Because the idea there is that there's enough donations in the meantime until we can get on the VA's radar and get these things approved.
Well, I do know RFK Jr. Is familiar with the technology photobiomodulation, which is red light therapy. And it may happen eventually, It may, but we're going to keep going. This is non-pharmaceutical intervention. And so that's what Healing Veterans Project wants to do, non-pharmaceutical intervention, because that's the type of stuff that is not going to harm the veterans further by just masking the real problem.
Yeah, and it's the solution to everything, it seems like these days. Just give them a pill.
Yeah, I know. All right, Caroline Leavitt is leaving the White House, ladies and gentlemen.
Sad about
You're
this.
sad about this too, huh? You're a big fan of Caroline.
I think so. You could not have convinced me that there was anybody better than Kayleigh McEnany until Caroline Leavitt. So I liked when Sarah Huckabee Sanders was the press secretary. I think she did a great job, but Kayleigh McEnany would come in with her binder, her 3-ring binder, and just smoke the liberal media every time they would say something. Boom, here she would go.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, man, and then she got kind of her own show there with Fox News, and got on the Outnumbered with Harris Faulkner and my future wife.
You gotta stop.
I love her. I'm not gonna talk about it. Anyway, she's a lovely lady. Anywho, but she got on this show, so we knew that she was not going to be the press secretary in Trump 2.0, especially with him calling her milquetoast and all that stuff. It just wasn't a great thing. But Caroline Leavitt came in, and I think she's the best that I've seen, certainly under the Trump administration.
A few names are being dropped for the Daily Mail saying who's going to be next. Who's it going to be? They throw Jason Miller out there. Jason Miller, let me show you what he looks. That's Jason Miller right there. He recently came back to the White House.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
They
I would
throw out former Homeland Security Press Secretary Katie Zakaria.
She has my vote. I think it needs to be a woman. I just really believe that.
I actually pray that it's a man. I'm sorry. I'm so sick of everything has to be feminine. Everything has to be. Then they have
I just think that job is a feminine job.
Principal Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly, a former beauty queen, could also be in the running. Then they've got CNN political.
I like women. If you didn't know,
Scott
Paul.
Jennings could be the. Scott Jennings could.
Hey, you know what? I could get behind Scott Jennings.
You think so?
Now, yeah, but I think that'd be a step down. His star is just getting bigger and bigger.
Also, former acting director of National Intelligence Bill Pulte was rumored to have a long shot possibility.
No, he looks like he just passed gas.
Here's some highlights. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some montage videos, but just to familiarize yourself, here was one of her most viral moments during her time as press secretary, where she called a member of the press a left-wing hack.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally.
This was after the death of Renee Good, when she, tried to run over an ICE agent.
You mean the murder of Renee Good?
Yeah.
Earlier on, Secretary Nolan spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Mic
literally
drop.
willful. It was willful ignorance. The answer to the question, the question was, why was she unfortunately killed? Like, what happened?
Yeah,
and his answer
she put it back on him, and that was
his answer
chance.
should have been, she hit an ICE agent with her car. Mm-hmm. With a deadly weapon, a car.
But his answer told her and all
of us. The ICE agent acted recklessly. The ICE agent should have just let himself get run over, I guess. That was a good moment.
Right, sir. Have you ever been in law enforcement, standing in front of a vehicle that you are trying to get the woman out because she is now under arrest? She's impeding traffic. She's impeding law enforcement. That is obstruction of justice, folks. It is as plain as day. That woman died because of her own actions, okay? You can say the wheel was turned away. You can say the wheel was turned away from the ICE agent. You can say that. How do you know that she knew that?
Exactly.
Okay? Because at that point, before she took off, she had been stopped for a second. Do you think that she knew exactly what her wheel position, where her tires were? Okay, she's probably focused on the fact that there are two ICE agents outside of her vehicle with guns, and one of them was standing in front of her vehicle, standing right there, saying, "Stop, get out, get out." And he had his weapon on him. He actually hadn't even pulled it at that point, which was pretty impressive because he pulled it in just that millisecond that it took for her to accelerate. And she's dead because of her own actions. And the stupid-ass liberal media that we've talked about so much sat there and said, well, she had just dropped her child off at daycare, and she was on her way home. The hell she was. She was parked out there for 4 minutes
she was an
ahead
activist.
of it.
She was being funded likely by other people, just like Alex Good and that whole, what was that? Was it a Telegram or Signal or whatever they had that was exposed? And before we started these deportations, we really should have had the Justice Department go after the funding mechanism of all of these left-wing, I think, in a lot of cases, terrorists. Myself, I would label them that because I think they're organizing that way to obstruct federal law enforcement. But generally, I'm just going to remind everybody about that whole situation, whether it was the Preddy guy or whether it was Renee Good. Deportations at the scale that we want to see them, and 1 million deportations is great, but we got to get way more than that. Deportations at the scale that we want are going to mean people are going to die.
Yeah.
And you know what? Laken Riley
yeah.
died. These other people have died because the border was left open for so long, and our own government, I believe, was using the Mexican drug cartel as an army proxy war against our own people, and they've been doing this for years. And we have suffered from it. We've got people dead from fentanyl. Look at all of the people that have died because the American people have been sold out. In order to reverse that trend in any meaningful way, you're going to have to know. I'm sorry, folks. It just is what it is. You're going to know. Yeah, people are going to die in the process of trying to enforce the law because people are going to resist. And that may sound extreme, but it's not as extreme as leaving the border open for sex traffickers and criminals to terrorize America. That is much more extreme than what we're trying to do, getting these people out.
And you pointed out to me something that I hadn't really directly had that sort of correlation, and it was when we were comparing Trump's deportation numbers to Barack Obama's. And Barack Obama's is far greater deportation numbers, but a lot of those just included turning people away at the border, right, and not letting them in, or they get in but they're immediately sent back across the border. And so those numbers were being counted in there. Where Donald Trump, that's not happening because for 14, 15 straight months, the border has been completely shut down, right? And so they're not getting these encounters at the southern border. So what are they having to do? They're having to go find them individually throughout the country. And that's a much tougher job than you got this massive horde walking at you and you process them in a day and then you get them go back to their country. And then, of course, as we knew during the Biden administration, they were just letting them in. At least I'm going to give Barack Obama credit at least a little bit on that he turned some of the people away. And Barack Obama 1.0 is exactly what the Republicans are trying to get accomplished right now.
Yeah.
Immigration reform. We cannot have illegal. Listen to Barack Obama in 2008. Listen to him. Listen to Hillary Clinton leading up to that.
They were all lying, but yeah.
Oh, that you know
what I mean? It was all just...
Here's the thing, Paul. I don't think they were, in one respect. I don't think that they realized how advantageous it was going to be with the technology boom that was on the horizon there in 2010, 2011. We're just, when you think of Barack Obama, we're just now getting the iPhone now and all of that stuff. Then we're going heavily to these voting machines. And now they're saying, hey, we could actually create our own voters by just letting a bunch of people into this country. I think that they came to that over time. I don't think that it was a long-term plan because you wouldn't have spoken out against it as a Democrat, Bill Clinton, all of this stuff. You wouldn't have spoken out against it so much if this was your long-term plan.
Yeah. Folks, now it's time for Rob's favorite segment, Trans Women Are Men. As we wind down the hour here, we've got this headline over at Red State. Feckless WNBA bosses meet to define woman and come up with exactly nothing. Some say that women are indecisive, and the WNBA just proved it. What do you want to eat, sweetheart? I don't know. Well, what's a woman? I don't know. This is pretty hilarious. Fox News covered this as well this morning.
Range of topics, including ongoing discussions on transgender athletes and the continued hate and vitriol directed at players online. There are no immediate eligibility matters affecting the WNBA. Yes, there are. And we strongly denounce the bad faith efforts to use these topics to demean or marginalize others.
So they're literally just going to pretend that there is no What controversy? What are you talking about? There is no controversy. They didn't even address publicly that they've got two former NBA athletes that are declaring for the draft. They didn't even do that. Now, you sent me this, Rob, because Royce White and Enos Kanter, they are not letting this go, and they need to keep pushing this issue.
So you're telling me that former NBA player Royce White is going on day 3 of continuing his mission to get into the WNBA. Do I have that right? Which then led to other females calling him out, saying, do it, commit to the bit, take hormones, get facial surge, breast aug, and SRS with the money you got from being a Hall of Fame household name, change your name and live as a woman.
This is going to be...
Oh, sorry.
So you're telling me that former NBA player Royce White is going on change your name and live as a woman in society. Anything less is cis male cowardice. In which she replied, Don't tell me how to be a black woman. Taking hormones are optional. The idea that a trans woman has to subject herself to big pharma is just another way for cis-normative people to turn us into a commodity. I'm all natural, black, trans, lesbian with a penile aesthetic. Which then Ed Krasenstein, the liberal influencer, real men don't play women's sports, in which Royce White clapped back, you misgendered me again. That's toxic. Heteronormative bigotry. These words, guys. We've moved on from that way of thinking about womanhood. Why are you so pressed? We only make a tiny percentage of the population. You're obsessed. You must be jealous of strong, beautiful, black queens. You go, girl. I'm all for this Royce White drama. For your mama.
There it is. Your favorite segment.
I love it.
Trans women. Hang on. I didn't mean to do that. Trans women are men. Rob Spencer.
Listen.
What you got, sir?
Listen, Linda. Listen. The fact that there are so many of these people that are trans enthusiasts that are coming out and saying right now, well, then go ahead and get these. Go ahead and get transition surgery. Go ahead and start taking your hormones. Start living as a woman. Change your name. Do all that stuff. Clapping back and saying, how dare you tell me how to live as a woman? How dare you? Why should I have to subject myself to big pharma where I'm going to pump all these chemicals? I am a woman. I'm a woman. And therefore, I should qualify for the WNBA draft as a woman. All it says in the bylaws is that it has to be a woman. But we've not defined what a woman is. Trans women are women. Trans women are women. Ignore Rob's Chiron on the bottom down there. Trans women are women, okay? And if these individuals can't make it into the WNBA, I will protest because that is a bigoted approach, and I think it's absolutely a travesty, and you are trampling on the rights of trans people everywhere.
You know, it is kind of crazy. We talked about how the spell that is over this country and still over a lot of people, maybe it was broken in a lot of ways in 2024, but it's crazy to go to the WNBA, ask the WNBA to define the W in their name, and you're like, wow, this is going to get them, right? And instead, the WNBA has come out and has said, what controversy? And they're refusing
Nothing to see here, folks.
to define the W in WNBA. They're refusing to define it. And I find that
it's not going to go away.
It's not going to go away, but they're going to try to ignore it. They're doing, I don't know, is that a female stereotype? We'll just ignore the problem instead of confront it head on. Maybe I think that is a female stereotype, right? I'll give you the last word. We got to shut the hour down.
Well, it's been great with this hour one here, and we'll continue with hour two later this afternoon. Stay tuned for Sean Farish. I mean, he's getting, I guess, today and tomorrow's his last day on the channel. Congratulations to him, and thank you, chat. We loved you.
All right, folks. God bless everybody out there. Hour number 2 starts right now.
The Paul Harrell Program.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red 5.
Why is Red Vibe different? What sets it apart? What sets us apart from the standard red light panels? This is a medical grade device, and what that means is the red light bulbs and the near-infrared bulbs have very specific wavelengths. If you think about the wavelength as the medicine, the 635, the 670, the 810, the 850, those were specifically chosen because those are the most powerful effectors of the cells. So those specific wavelengths, when they get into our body, when they affect our tissue, they spike energy production, they help with nerve pain control, they increase stem cell counts. There's very specific mechanisms that those specific wavelengths work at, and that's the medicine. So if you think of, say, medicine as an Advil or a specific steroid or a blood pressure medication, the wavelength is the medication. The other part of that, whenever you take a medication, is dose. Right? So you have the medication. So if you take 1 milligram of Advil, and the average dose of an Advil is 200 milligrams to 800 milligrams, it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the medicine's bad. It just means you didn't take enough. Right? And so even if you have the right wavelengths, first you have to have the right medicine, and then you have to have the right dose. And to have the right dose, you have, in light therapy, you have to have enough energy. So you have to have a powerful bulb. The LED bulbs, or light-emitting diodes, have a specific wavelength, and that wavelength is the medicine. And the wavelengths that have been studied and published on that are the most powerful in affecting healing and the changes that we want to see with our bodies and our health are the 635 wavelength, the 670, 810 nanometer wavelength, and 850 nanometer wavelength. Those are all going to affect the mitochondria, the cytochrome C oxidase, and affect those powerful long-term changes and affect that downstream pathways. And that's what you get with RedVive devices. The highest efficacy, the best wavelengths, concentrated to help your health.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier, and when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the mush puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about 1.5 years ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, welcome back. Hour number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate you being with us. Broadcasting from the great state of Arkansas. I want to remind everybody that the Paul Harrell Program, once again, is powered by the Healing Veterans Project. If you are a business owner, we want to talk to you. Email me, paul@healingveteransproject.us. That's paul@healingveteransproject.us. We want to get the red light therapy to the veterans. We got the list. We just need the money. paul@healingveteransproject.us, and we want to integrate with your point of sale retail business to ask your customers to donate $1, $5, $10. And if you want to personally donate, just scan the QR code that you see on your screen and set it up for monthly or annual or whatever you want to do. Donations, $1, $5. We would very much appreciate it. Again, scan the QR code on your screen. All right, so now it's time for the newest segment. I don't think we've actually done this segment yet on the show, but it's time for a segment that we like to call, did it again, Court Jesters. For this edition of Court Jesters, we go to the Gateway Pundit with this headline: horrific illegal alien with lengthy rap sheet brutally murders California man 1 day after this woke judge releases him. He was a known criminal. He has a lengthy rap sheet. Goes before the judge. The judge somehow inexplicably lets him go. I think we can explain it at this point. This is not the bug. This is the feature. This is the point of our justice system, is to let violent criminals murder innocent people. That is the point in these big blue districts, blue cities. The point of our justice system is to allow violent criminals to murder innocent people. It is not the anomaly. It is the design. This is what it's designed to do. An innocent American citizen is dead at the hands of an illegal alien and a long criminal record, thanks in no small part to a far-left California judge. As CBS News San Francisco reported, a man was found fatally stabbed outside his home in Martinez on August 6th. Firefighters and medical personnel promptly responded, but it was too late. The victim was identified as 68-year-old Todd Stewart. Authorities later identified 36-year-old Marcos Irate Valdez as the person responsible for the crime and arrested him at his home on August 7th. Surveillance video released by the police and shared with local news outlets shows the moment Irate Valdez stabbed Stewart to death on his own lawn. It's a truly horrifying scene. Federal authorities later confirmed with Valdez that they confirmed that Valdez entered the country illegally from Venezuela, per the New York Post. He also holds Spanish citizenship. He should never have been allowed in the country to begin with, Gateway Pundit says. This is, I believe, the moment. This is Homeland Security. This Venezuela illegal stabbed a father to death in Sanctuary State, California. Viewer discretion is advised, but we're going to watch this because we should be forced to watch it.
The chilling surveillance video captures the deadly attack outside of Martinez' home Thursday evening. 68-year-old Todd.
He's dead. That's Todd Stewart. The news gets even more infuriating. Valdez had been connected to several burglary cases in Orinda. Is that how you say it? Orinda, back in April, but was initially released on pretrial release. Then on August 4th, police rearrested Valdez for allegedly violating a home detention monitoring rule, but that was still not enough to keep him behind bars. So he gets arrested for burglary, he gets let out, violates the rules, gets put back in, but Contra Costa Superior Judge Nichelle Holmes, who was appointed by California Governor Gavin Newsom in 2024, decided to release Valdez on his own reconnaissance for some reason on August the 5th. God. There's the docket entry. Stewart was then killed the next day thanks to this bleeding heart judicial hack. The entire American government failed Stewart. The federal government let this killer into the country, and then judges refused to keep him behind bars, even as he racked up felonies. What a two-tiered justice system ordinary people face, particularly in blue states. Again, the justice system now exists to enable criminals to kill innocents. I'll get your reaction, and then I'm going to give you mine. But what is your reaction on that, Rob Spencer? I mean, it's just disgusting, man.
It's another line of BS that I cannot fully express how angry it makes me without using several choice ungodly words. What is the argument that pro-illegal immigrant people will give? They'll say, oh, well, native-born citizens commit way more crime. They commit way more murders. Yeah, and here's the thing. I always retort with this. But this murder shouldn't have happened.
Right.
This murder was preventable. If black kids are shooting themselves in the streets of Chicago, I mean, certain amount of policing can help, but that's going to continue. It's a very dangerous thing. There are places of St. Louis we've talked about. I ain't going. and these are all native-born citizens for the most part that are committing these crimes. Murder happens everywhere. But this one shouldn't have happened. Jocelyn Nungry should not have happened. All of these innocent American citizens that are being murdered by these gang members, these people that were in prisons. If you don't believe that countries were releasing their prison population and telling them to come to the United States under Joe Biden, you are a freaking fool. You are a fool. That was absolutely happening when 250,000 people a month were coming across the border, and the crime rate in some of these Central American countries had dropped by 85%. And you're like, wait a minute, what's happening? Well, anytime somebody gets arrested, they're not putting them in jail, they're sending them to the southern border, saying, you're either going to go to prison here, or you're going to go to America. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Hey, you better go claim asylum, and we better not see you here, or we're going to, you're going to face firing squad. Yeah. I don't know. But regardless, that is happening. And that's what these individuals are. This guy was apparently just going around committing tons of crime here in the United States. And he could do it because he's in stupid-ass California with their sanctuary cities.
Literally, and these guys come over here, and they look out. They're wolves, and they look out, and all they see is what's left of a high-trust society. Oh, yeah. And all they see is sheep. That's all they see.
They're sheep with no shepherd. Yep. They're just licking their chops.
Yeah, your magisterial shepherd is supposed to be people like this
stupid bitch,
Nichelle Holmes, who is responsible for this person who's now dead. This father, this guy is dead because of her. She belongs in jail. She's an accessory to murder. She should be charged with manslaughter at the very least. This is manslaughter.
So this guy was in front of her for multiple burglaries, correct? So he's in front of her for multiple burglaries at that point, and she released him. You kind of read through that, but it was rearrested.
He'd been several burglary cases. Okay.
Yeah.
Then he gets rearrested. Because he got released. He got pre-trial release. But he gets rearrested because he was supposed to be, I guess, maybe house arrest or whatever. He violated a home detention monitoring rule. So he was being monitored at the house. He violated it. So they rearrest him. So he should be behind bars now.
Yes.
You've broken the rule.
You
You're
have
now
broken
behind the boards.
Well, yes.
And the judge lets him out again.
The judge and that state are breaking federal law. How is this not something that the federal government, and I'm a big proponent of states' rights, but when your states are getting your citizens killed, then there's a certain level that the government has to have some oversight.
Their responsibility. They should go in and arrest that judge right now. This is shock and awe. You bust down the court. You wait till she's in court and you go get her. And I'm sorry, man. Like, what are we doing? This iteration of the Democrat Party should be made illegal. Mm-hmm. And the Trump administration has got to do it. You have got to find a way to make this illegal and end it.
Well, I mean, they're saying that he's going to pull funding for
not
these
enough.
Sanctions. It's just.
I mean, yes, sure. Do that. You got to do more.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about the groups that are in favor of deporting illegals who are committing crimes. And this guy had been arrested for multiple burglaries. That's a crime. Okay? That's a crime. And depending on the extent of it, it's a felony. Why was that person not detained, ICE notified, and they were immediately deported? Why did that not happen? Okay. But let's talk about the people who are in favor of deporting people like him before the murder happened, before it happened. Mm-hmm. Okay? All the Republicans and virtually all of the Democrats. There is a very small sector of people that will actually stand there and say, well, no, I don't think just because they're out there committing crimes that they should be deported. Right. Well, you're in the country illegally and you're burglarizing people's homes and vehicles and maybe people themselves. You're a burglar. What else have I got to do? Because we all understand that burglary is an ascension ladder. Most times people start out as burglaries and then they graduate to more, maybe not necessarily violent crimes, but they're going to keep graduating in crimes the more and more they get away with it. And this guy was given every incentive to keep doing what he was doing. He was just getting released, all of that stuff. And he was getting pretrial release. Why What you're in the country illegally. You've committed a crime. You're waiting for your trial. At the very least, you need to stay behind bars. And the screams of this man.
Listen to that. This man is stabbed to death, and I wish we had more information about what was he just trying to steal the guy's car? What was he doing?
The chilling
Look, that's him
surveillance
being
video
stabbed
captures
multiple
the
times.
deadly attack outside of Martinez's home Thursday evening. 68-year-old Todd Stewart was...
I mean, these are senior citizens.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, and he was moving good. It's not like he was, got a walker or something there. But at a certain point, it's 68 versus, how old is this guy? 36?
36.
Yeah. So... but anyway,
always carry your guns, folks.
There is another group of individuals here in the United States that would have wanted him deported, and that is people who came across the border who have not committed any crime other than the crime that illegal entry. Excuse me. They're working. Some are even paying taxes.
Some of those people left their countries to get away from people like that.
Correct. Exactly right.
I'm not naive. That doesn't mean I don't want them to go back, but I'm just saying, to your point.
So yes. I would say most of the people on both sides of the aisle, as well as even some of these illegal immigrants themselves, seeing this and saying, we don't want to be lumped in with this dude. We left, to your point, left our country to get away from dudes like this. And the problem is, ICE is sitting around and they're having to be reactive to some of this stuff. They can't be in all places all times, especially when places like California will refuse to work with ICE. So they probably didn't even realize that this guy was in custody, or they could have said, hey, hold him. If he's committing burglaries, we're getting him the hell out of this country. And at least let us do research on him. Was he a criminal in his home country? Did he shoot up from Venezuela where he was, wanted for murder there or something? We sure as hell getting him out of here. But this stupid-ass liberal leftist judge let that man out, and the next day, this guy lost his life.
Yeah. Carry your guns, folks. Oh, you never know when Judge Nichelle is going to release a violent criminal into your neighborhood. So protect yourself, protect your family, be vigilant. This is California, but, this could easily come to every Christian red state in the South if we do nothing, if we don't stop this.
There's so many people, like liberal white women. You saw that dude that was naked and masturbating on the beach there around a bunch of families, and there was this liberal white woman going over there. Are you okay? Do you need some assistance?
Oh my God!
There's a picture.
Are you serious?
There's a picture of she's in her bathing suit, and there is a naked man who had been masturbating on the beach. A naked man walking around with all these kids, and this woman is trying to give him some help. Is he mentally disturbed? I would assume so. But honestly,
was he an immigrant? I mean, was he an illegal? What was he?
All I know is he was a person of color, and I believe he looked like a black man. But I don't know because they've got black people in South America, so it's not like I don't know. But regardless, I do not know his ethnicity. All I know was that a liberal white woman was trying to console a man who was masturbating in front of children. Okay. If you don't know, if you don't realize, if you can't discern that your ideology is so rotten and ridiculous that it's overriding common sense, number one, if that woman has children, somebody needs to do an investigation on her and make sure she is not exposing her children to harm, because you just walked, instead of getting your kids away, getting your kids to safety, okay? You're going up and trying to console a naked man who's been masturbating on a public beach. Give me a break. I can't believe that happens. But when you see it in black and white, you realize that liberal white women, and I'm not talking about women who just vote Democrat, who maybe are a little more center leaning on some stuff, but they lean left on this. I'm talking about leftists who feel like white people are evil, even though that's what the color of their skin is when they look in the mirror. They hate their own skin. If you think white people are evil and you're married to a white man, is he evil too? Is your white husband evil? No, you just want to talk about everybody else. Everybody else is racist, not me. And in fact, when I see someone masturbating on a public beach, I'm so not racist that I'm going to run up there and offer him some assistance. Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, if that dude got anywhere near me, he would be on the ground. He would be hurting because if I'm sitting on a public beach with my children, which we do, if I'm sitting on a public beach with my children and somebody's out there masturbating, I'm going to beat the hell out of him. And I'm certainly going to call the police.
Yeah.
So,
after you beat the hell out of him.
And I'm not trying to take it all that. I'm just saying that is the mentality that has led judges like this, even though she's not a white liberal woman. Yeah. But it's the same mentality of he just needs a chance. Okay, know what he needed? He needed a chance to go stab a man to death. And he had it, and he got it, and he did it.
That's exactly right.
Sickening.
Yeah, that's really, really good, Rob. Excellent, excellent. Now it's time for our next segment called Healthy Skepticism. We got to do something about this music. This edition of Healthy Skepticism is this story from American AF over on X, but there is a lot of people picking up on this. I saw, let's see, did I see Terrence Howard says this? Liberal women are getting more COVID booster shots while mocking RFK Jr. I guess in the wake of us, except what Ron Johnson exposed. Then, of course, the vaccine schedule going from 72 down to 11 this week. This is liberal white women. You were just talking about them, Rob, are now getting more COVID booster shots while mocking RFK's voice. Listen to this. I guess this is some sort of video TikTok. F you, RFK. Vaccines save lives, you hack. Listen to this.
Hey, everybody. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here, your new king of healthcare. I'm trying to audition for Saturday Night Live. I think that's what I'm going to do on Saturday night. Everybody.
All right, now here's the deal. I think this is two videos that have been mashed together. I don't know the exact accuracy of it because there's a guy on Instagram and TikTok who does make fun of RFK, but he seems to be more apolitical about it, where he's like, Cheryl, don't tell Cheryl, I love my pizza rolls. I know I'm not supposed to eat the pizza rolls.
Well, that's fine. I mean, that's totally fine.
But I'm sneaking these pizza rolls at ultra processed food.
Yeah.
But don't tell Cheryl, please.
Right. Sean Farish. I mean, he kind of really took off and got popular when a lot of his videos of his Trump impressions were going around. You can impersonate somebody.
Right. So this, but I would not. I think we predicted that this would happen. Right, a couple of days ago, we said this would be like the Tylenol thing, where they said, "Hey, don't take Tylenol while you're pregnant; it can cause autism." And all these women started making videos. That was a real phenomenon of them taking Tylenol
that they didn't
just
even need
to spite themselves. Mindy Robinson says, "Seems like this is a problem that's about to solve itself."
I've heard of it. Is it called Darwinism?
Darwin warts. Yeah.
Yes, Darwinism. There. Listen. Number one, this woman looks rode hard and hung up dry. Hung up wet. Sorry, that's wet. What it is. Yeah, rode hard and hung up wet. That's what it is. And she's getting a booster shot. I didn't even know the COVID vaccine was still a thing. Like, people are still taking it.
It's still a thing. Yes.
Oh, my gosh, man. So she's going to go get herself a booster shot. And the reason, maybe she wasn't even due for it. She just made a special trip so that she could fly the middle finger at RFK Jr.
Well, that's what people are saying. I mean, there's a Reddit post about it. There's this post, and then there's the other post.
Well, she doesn't look like, and if she's childbearing age, she's at the end of it there. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to matter. She's not going to.
Basically.
Yeah.
Don't drink urine. Liberals would start drinking urine.
Wait, pause it right there. Just leave it at that for a second and just say that is exactly what would happen. Because everything that the Trump administration says is bad, the liberals say is good. Mm-hmm. Everything that the Trump administration says is good, the liberals say it's bad. Look on TikTok, every video where they're criticizing conservatives or something like that, or even if it's conservative pro-conservative video, you're going to have these liberals in the comments. And they're going to say something just completely random that doesn't make any sense, that's just whatever, but it's a whataboutism. Right. It's always a whataboutism. It's like, that's not even on the topic here. And I think, let's just stop with this, man. Your side believes dude with male anatomy who calls himself a woman is a woman. Your side believes that. So I think that unfortunately, you may actually have some good points on this or that or randomness. You may have some good points, but I can't take you seriously on anything because you got pronouns in your bio.
Yeah.
You're absolutely mentally handicapped. You are handicapped because you are unable to reasonably think, if this guy is standing up to pee, he's probably not a woman. If he can be sent to a woman's prison and impregnate women, actual women, if you can go to prison, and we saw this, there are these trans women, dudes that think they're women, and they go to prison and they're impregnating actual women. You're like, wait a minute. If you're a woman and trans women are women, how can you impregnate someone? It's because you have male anatomy. Okay. It's just the honest truth. And so we have all of that, and your side believes that. Your side has constantly said, hell, Hillary Clinton had a tweet about it the other day. Hillary Clinton said, don't take medical advice from a man who told you to drink bleach. And I'm like, that has been debunked so many times. And yet you have all of these millions of followers who are just sobbing up that bull with a biscuit. They're sobbing it all up. And that's what you're seeing on the left. And I won't do anything the Trump administration does. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and go take this shot that I may not need. I'm going to go ahead and go take a couple of Tylenol and just, you know what? My baby's not going to get autism. I'd like to go. Those ladies that were taking Tylenol while they're pregnant, let's get a 3-year update on it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But when you talk about the rise in that, and there are so many, what do you want to call them? What's the doctor for, does the birth? I mean, what are they called? Birth doctors? I don't know.
OBGYNs.
OBGYNs, thank you. So OBGYNs that have come out and said, yeah, it's right. You really shouldn't take Tylenol. It just wasn't safe for you. And now we're seeing this with the vaccines. My gosh, man. The liberal women are so stupid. Liberal men, and I'm talking about leftists. I'm not talking about guys that just vote Democrat or whatever. I'm talking about crazy leftists are so beta. You serve no purpose on this planet other than us to say, thank God I am not as stupid as you. Thank God I am not as ideologically rotten as you are. That's what the liberals serve, and now they're not left enough for the DSA. We've talked about that. So anyway, it just blows my mind constantly. I know you're working on some stuff over there, so it just blows my mind, Paul. And I'm just really sick of it. I'm sick of seeing what we're seeing, and it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. Folks, I want to just take a second, though, and tell you about Redvive Health and what's going on over there. I haven't talked to you guys. I mean, I know you guys see the ads, but I want to tell you about this because it's something that I think can really help you, and because you hear us talk about what's going on with veterans. But if you go to redvivehealth.org/Paul, that's redvivehealth.org/Paul, you're immediately going to be given a 35% off discount. You can also just use the name Paul at checkout as well. Why use red light therapy? If you're interested in it, you can learn all about it at these websites. Figure it out for yourself. This is the direct consumer, way to get you a medical grade device in your home. This is not like this stuff that you'll see that's not really well made. This is the real deal. There's 60-day money back guarantee that you can finance these things as well. There's a 2-year warranty on these machines. And you've got several options here. You've got the Redvive 60, the Redvive 360, and one of these two are probably going to be your best option for in-home use. The reason I want to tell you about Redvive Health is because if you've got aches or pains, if you're worried about sleep, if you want to look younger with the collagen production that these things do, you just got to go read about it. So go to redvivehealth.org and read about it. And now I'm going to tell you my personal testimony. My personal testimony on this is that my mom is going to have back surgery. Okay, she's got discs. She's got to have to fairly serious procedure. It's called an A-lift. She's going to have this done. I don't know when yet, but in a month or so. And she has been in excruciating pain the last month. Excruciating pain because the discs are like 3 or 4 of them are they've ruptured or they've slipped, and so she's got this incredible nerve pain that's going all the way from her back all the way down her leg to the point where it was actually producing tears, right, to where she cannot walk without crying. So she gets in a wheelchair to kind of get around, and she's been crippled. I mean, that's what this pain has done. While she's waiting to have surgery, she's crippled. And so I said, okay, Mom, we're going to give you our red light machine. And so I took it over to their house, and I said, you're going to sit in front of this red light machine twice a day for 30 minutes. And you're going to sit 6 to 12 inches away from it because that's the optimum way to heal yourself. And I said, this is serious nerve pain you're dealing with. This isn't just like, I tweaked a muscle, which it's great for. But this is going to take repetition. This is going to take a lot because nerve pain takes a while with red light. And I'm telling you, she's walking now without pain. She's now walking large. Now, it took 2 weeks every day, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night in front of one of these machines. And I'm telling you, I've never seen my mom in so much pain, ever. And she's a pretty tough lady. She can, she's going to get through it. Not this. This actually absolutely, ruined her quality of life. And now while she's waiting for surgery, because she needs this surgery, she is now virtually pain-free based on what she was. She can actually walk now. She can walk decent distances without the pain, and she credits the red light. I just want you guys to know this technology works, okay? So if you're interested in that and you're trying to recover, and maybe even you're trying to avoid surgery, this is very good for this. It's why I think some orthopedic doctors are not big fans of this tech because it hurts their bottom line. Go to redvivehealth.org/Paul. That's redvivehealth.org/Paul. All right, that's enough of that. Let's move on to our next segment, which is Pandemic Paper Trail. This edition of Pandemic Paper Trail is more updates on Senator Ron Johnson. Senator Ron Johnson recently revealed, obviously, the text messages of Anthony Fauci. We found out that he knew that there was that there was risk for pregnancy for pregnant women in first trimester. Privately, he would acknowledge it. Publicly, he was still telling pregnant women to get vaxxed. Right? He's committed crimes against humanity. This guy needs to be put on trial. Senator Ron Johnson is now telling us that Fauci scrubbed nearly his entire contact list off the phone that they seized. They have a digital copy of this phone. There are now only 3 contacts in his cell phone. 34,000 text messages, but they don't know who to. So in this pandemic paper trail, we're figuring out that this guy knows he's guilty, has destroyed evidence, has tried to do what he can to make it as hard as he can. But Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin is now saying that we are going to figure out which text messages belong to whom. It's just going to probably take longer, but I mean, you don't have contacts, but you have the messages.
Sure.
So you presumably have their cell phone numbers. How many people have you know what I'm saying? How many people that texted during Fauci with all of this, 34,000 texts, have gotten new numbers and have destroyed their phones, and they're praying to the Lord every day, or maybe somebody else every day, saying, oh, man, I hope they don't come knocking. If Fauci has immunity, which I think can be challenged, I don't buy it. But even if he has immunity, none of the people he's protecting have been given pardons.
Correct.
So it's like, DOJ, come on, do your job. Let's go get him. Let's go get him.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And, there's no way in the world you're sending 34,000 texts to 3 people. So, contacts have been deleted, messages have been deleted. There's just all of it's gone. And I'm sure that there's some evidence that's left, but I mean, was he smart enough to take it to one of those big time, tech people that could...
You mean what, like with a cloth?
Yes.
Did you bit your computer, Hillary?
Yeah.
What, like with a cloth?
Yeah. You cleaned your hard drive. Yeah. What do you mean with like a cloth? She honestly... She was a savvy person. She said stupid things, but it was really hard to back her in there. The only one that Trump really got her on is, it's a good thing that a person like Donald Trump's temperament is not in charge of the law.
Yeah.
Because you'd be in jail.
Yeah.
It was still the most epic
debate
moment
wouldn't it
ever.
have been great if he'd have done that? Put Hillary in jail. Wouldn't it have been amazing?
Well, I mean, I think he was being gracious and he was trying to move on and all that stuff. And so just letting you know, Paul, I just texted your wife.
Okay. What's up?
No, I found a picture from a play that I directed and that she was in.
Okay, cool.
And I was looking around on my desktop here and I found it. I was like, oh, I forgot to send that to her. So I was just like, well, yeah, on your show, texting your wife.
I'll take a look at it.
A little weird.
Hey, you know what? It's all about transparency. That's what it's about. All right, so next up we have Left Turn It Crazy.
Oh my God!
This is actually this is nuts right here.
Left Turn Ahead.
Crazy.
Yeah, so for this edition of Left Turn It Crazy, we have an update on Abdul El Sayed. Fox News over on Facebook says that the internet has found a resurfaced Abdul El Sayed campaign video, and the Blues Clues-inspired pitch is getting roasted. El Sayed dances through the 1-minute parody while asking voters for their support, leaning hard into the childhood nostalgia with exaggerated moves and playful, playful refrain is what they say. We'll go ahead and watch this.
The mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail. Mail. Thanks, mailbox. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. Oh, it looks like my ballot. Brought to me by my Secretary of State. And with it, I can participate in democracy. The first day that I can turn this in is June 25th, but it has to be postmarked by July 21st. Or I can drop it off up until Election Day, which is August 4th. Thanks, Secretary of State. Thanks, mailbox. Votes could do, we can't do. Here's the mail and
yeah, it's pretty cringe, but you know what? And you guys may not like to hear this, but that actually could be very effective with people on the left. You may not want to hear it, but it. What outrages us and makes us cringe may not necessarily. I mean, that we're two different countries.
We've seen it. We've seen the left try to do they can't meme right.
Yeah.
They can't. What was the stupid women of Congress thing? And they were trying to act like superheroes, and it was the lamest thing I've ever seen in my life. So we've seen all of this stuff, and maybe you're right. Maybe this would be effective. I mean, it's very much in the style of Blue Clues when I've had the misfortune of actually watching it.
Yeah.
So it's very much in that style, and I know that a lot of people love that. Maybe people with parents, but one thing that I said to you, and this was while you were playing the intro there, is that this guy is dangerous, and I'm talking about from a political standpoint. He is very dangerous,
charismatic.
He's very charismatic. I saw the first time I saw one of his interviews recently, and I thought, man, he is speaking to pain points. We've talked about these DSA candidates and how they're just speaking to pain points. Now, their ideas to fix it are complete trash and garbage. They're bull, and I think on probably some level they know it. Like, you can't get rid of prisons. You can't get rid of police officers. You can't get rid of the Senate. You can't get rid of the presidency. I mean, you can't do all of this stuff. But at the same time, when they're speaking to these pain points and they look at it and say, well, we have these elected officials who aren't doing anything. We've got those pain points right now. We've got those on the Republican side when we've got a majority of the Senate and they're doing nothing, as we talked about. And so this guy is out there speaking to these DSA candidates are speaking to them. And it used to be, and I even said it a little while ago, Operation Let Them Speak. But then I heard him speak, and I'm like, this isn't good.
Yeah, he's got a level of virtuoso.
Yeah, and
that's dangerous.
He's stewing up a pot of bull. Mm-hmm. He is stewing up a pot of this. I've got the solutions when his solutions are absolutely retarded, but it's speaking to pain points. And the problem is you've got so many people on the left that say, I want what someone else has earned. I want that, because would they rationalize it and say, well, they shouldn't have been able to earn that. There shouldn't be billionaires. We shouldn't have a trillionaire in the world. Like, say nothing of the fact that he doesn't have $1 trillion sitting in his account like some of these people think. Like, he just needs to distribute his wealth. I remember this was an old term because Elon Musk's wealth has gone up, and you just said if you took every bit of Elon Musk's worth, you liquidated it, and you had, I think at that time was what, I don't know, $700 billion.
6-7.
Yeah, 6-7. You could run the federal government for just a couple of months. You could run the federal government for just a couple of months, and you're just like, okay, so let's just say we eliminated all billionaires and took all of their wealth. You're like, that means you could run the federal government for a year.
Yeah.
You know, and people don't realize that the billionaires and trillionaires are not the solution to the problem. Well, they are if they're creating industry, that they're creating opportunities. But no, they want to sit at home. They want to work part-time at Starbucks, and they want to be given what someone else has earned. And this guy speaks to the affordability. Hey, you're going to the grocery store and it's expensive. I get it. We're all faced with that. Chiron says it, you know. Brisket prices are too high. There's frustrations on all levels when you go and look at the price of ground beef, when you just want to cook some hamburger helper for your kids.
We were pricing brisket the other day, you and me. What was it at? $9 a pound? $8?
Yeah, well, that was for a flat and all that stuff.
Okay, a trimmed flat was $9 a pound.
And I'm quite sure that things are cheaper here in Arkansas than they were, at different places. And so it can get out of hand. But suffice it to say, this guy is speaking to these pain points, and he's articulate, he's charismatic. And, doesn't matter that he's once said that we deserve 9/11. It doesn't matter that he wants to eliminate these staples. Like, he criticized us for doing, fireworks on the 4th of July. How dare you celebrate America? Well, you're wanting to serve the American people, but you hate it?
Yeah.
How can you serve someone? Imagine if you're an elderly person and you are you're having in-home care, and your technician that comes to your house every day and helps feed you and maybe helps bathe you or something like that, make sure you get your medicine, actually hates you.
He's being consistent with his religion, with his pagan religion, if you ask me.
What do you expect?
Well, I mean, first of all, the American Revolution and the 13 colonies which led to the American Revolution, right? That doesn't happen unless Protestant, and particularly Protestant Christianity, doesn't take off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, our fathers got on ships to come over here for their religious freedom.
Yes.
There were other people that came over for economic reasons, but it was obviously a pan-Protestant country, and that would be offensive to a Muslim. We're celebrating the fact that, we broke off from Great Britain, but fundamentally this great country happened because of Christians, going to work, building a civilization, obeying the commandments of the Lord. That's why this country was so great. And so he's sitting there saying, we don't want you to support this. Well, the reason is, or we don't want you to celebrate this. The reason is because he finds the entire project an offense to him and his people. Yeah. And so it really is his civilization versus, he wants to tear down our entire civilization and other people like him, and that's what the DSA wants.
And it's part of their game. Well, so. It's part of their game plan. I was listening to a person give an interview with someone who was a former, sort of what you would call it, like a recovering Muslim, and he left the Islamic faith and had since become a Christian. And part of their playbook is to infiltrate these peacefully. Infiltrate these countries, infiltrate these communities, infiltrate these local governments, and then expand out on the national level. You infiltrate it. You get in there. You say all the stuff to get elected, just like any politician does. And then you start destroying the foundations and the fabric of our country and our constitutional republic. You are destroying it from within because you hate it, and your religion calls you to do it. And that's the biggest problem that we are facing when we're saying that we can coexist with these people. Do you think either one of us would ever go even if it was a Republican, I could never go and cast a vote for someone named Abdul El Sayed. Call me racist. Okay, I'm racist. These people shouldn't be in the country because they hate America. They hate our way of life, and their religion calls for them to destroy it. So how dare you say I should coexist with this person, that I'm racist? Call me whatever the hell you want to call me.
Yeah. Well, it's a joint effort, too, because, I mean, somebody posted this the other day, and I forget who exactly it was, but they were saying, look, you know, the Democrats are all about the open borders, and obviously the establishment Republicans were as well for a very long time, right? So we get flooded there.
Yeah.
But a lot of these Muslims are a product of Republicans' neocon foreign wars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Lindsey Graham, the late Lindsey Graham himself, was responsible for Afghans coming to this country. The same Afghan that murdered the D.C. National Guardsman, shot one and murdered the other, right? So we caused a lot of instability in the Middle East, and we had to take their populations. So this is it's a full approach by both parties, the uniparty, with what has happened, and now we're living in this hellscape. We get these glimpses of these hellscapes. But to bring up the point of affordability, this is why, you know, people like Langford out of Oklahoma, it's a failing message to say when you're asked, like, well, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing for the midterms? And your message is, well, you should just don't criticize our lack of action. You need to just talk about how bad the socialists are. That's not going to get you over the hump. It's just not. The GOP's got to address affordability. They can't ignore it. They can't say no, we can't just sit here and say no, everything's fine. I mean, I know the stock market is doing well, right? I know President Trump is now floating the idea of cutting capital gains taxes, which I'm sure that's going to be great for people that have investments and that sort of thing. However, there's a lot of people on Main Street that don't care anything about capital gains. That's like the last thing on their mind. They would love to have some money to invest somewhere and not pay capital gains, but that's like the last thing on their mind. So they're going to have to do something, and that's what brings us to the totally inept Senate. It's time for red tape tyrants. Yeah, so Chuck Schumer, the Gateway Pundit, reporting this story. Forget the filibuster, nuke the United States Senate. Anger and frustration with the upper chamber is felt nationwide. The Founding Fathers wanted to create a system of government where power comes from the people. 250 years later, we're still experiencing a power struggle that does not resemble what the framers originally intended. One major factor in this struggle is the United States Senate. The Declaration of Independence, the most important documents in American history, emphasizes the rights of the American people to abolish any government that does not serve them. There in one of our founding documents is the solution to today's problem. Alter is the key word. The filibuster and archaic Senate rule has been watered down and abused to the point that a single senator can object and effectively close down any debate. We're being robbed of our own government, folks, by a bunch of geriatric patients that if we actually went into the night and debated something for 24 hours, many of them would die for lack of sleep. That's how old the Senate is, and they're hanging on to power, and they're screwing the younger generations. Not even giving us our turn. It's crazy that there aren't more Gen X senators. It's kind of nuts if you think about it. And yet we have a millennial vice president. It's like that's because of the boomer class refusing. It's like Mitch McConnell wants to die in office. Like that's what he wants to do. He wants to die in office. Dianne Feinstein, they want to die in office. Ruth Bader Ginsburg wants to die in power, right?
Cannot imagine a life after.
Exactly. And so that's another whole can of worms to talk about. But the United States Senate is one of the most powerful bodies in the world, often referred to as the most deliberative body in the world. The actual debate died decades ago. That is, decades with an S. The Gateway Pundit spoke to a fed-up patriot from North Carolina named Thomas Jacob, who is turning his frustration into written stories and acting as a voice for the anger felt by the American people. The Gateway Pundit spoke to lawmakers right before they left for August recess, which raises an obvious question. How much does the Senate actually show up for work? And you can see for yourself, not a lot. Not a lot. By subtracting 52 Sundays and 52 Saturdays, one arrives at a total of 250 business days minus federal holidays. According to the Senate calendar and Jacob's calculations, the Senate is not scheduled to work for 42% of the business year. If one counts the full calendar, senators are not working a whopping 57% of the year. It's no wonder the Senate cannot get any work done for the American people because they are not even there most of the year, and yet we pay them for a full-time job and they don't work 57% of the year.
Yeah.
That is insane. Which brings us to this next story from cnav.news, a modest proposal, performance reviews for senators, written by Frank Mile. It says, it seems as though only one thing motivates Congress to act, the threat of elections. I don't even think that does it anymore because I think they know that elections they don't have the SAVE Act. So continuing resolutions pass under threat of federal defeat. Listen to this. That's why both the House and the Senate have moved to pass a continuing resolution to keep funding the government until December. Originally, funding was going to run out October 1st. But with virtually every member of the House of Representatives and one-third of the Senate up for election in November, almost no one in Congress, Republican or Democrat, wanted to call attention to their own inaction by letting a new shutdown occur. It's the political version of Pavlov's dog, the famous experiment by the Russian scientist Ivan Pavlov, who trained canines to salivate at the sound of the bell because they associated the bell with the expectation of food being served. The same thing happens with members of Congress when they hear an election is scheduled within the next 3 months. Suddenly they want to be productive. A representative can ignore constituents for 22 months and then suddenly rediscover them during the last 2. And senators can become unresponsive to their voters for most of their 6-year term, enjoying junkets and the other fruits of power while being under no obligation to get anything done. It makes you almost sympathize with the Democratic Socialists who have made abolition of the Senate one of their top priorities. 6-year terms have their virtues, but they also make senators especially prone to forgetting who they work for. But maybe we could salvage that, he says, if we could adopt Pavlov's experiment in a way that would hopefully train senators to do their job on the regular. He says it's the modest proposal, and he says non-binding recall votes. He says, now, before you worry about constitutional entanglements and the risk of meddling in the results of digital ballots, understand that the votes are not binding. He wants us to be able to be polled or something every so often and, give them our approval rating, I guess, and whether or not we would recall them. I don't know. To me, that's a total waste of time. But it does bring up a good point. And, this is obviously a much steeper hill to climb than what he's proposing, which would be we have to get rid of the 17th Amendment. We have got to go back to allowing our state legislators to elect these people. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting frustrated daily, and there was a really good groundswell for the Save America Act for a while, and a lot of it's faded out because, right now they're on recess, and I thought, at a certain point, am I going to have to agree with the DSA about eliminating the Senate? You know what I mean? Like, of course not.
Of course not. Yeah. Right now, but I mean, I'm sorry. Like, there's a very real hatred. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to say this. Like, I guess there are some people that I think rightfully despise, but generally speaking, I hate our government. Like, I will use the word hate. Like, I hate the whole process. All of it exists to give us excuses as to why we can't have what we voted for. But when they want to do something that's not popular, no, now the process works great now.
We had to get this done.
We had more Ukraine funding, more foreign wars in the Middle East. Oh yeah, we get that. We'll get that going right away.
Yeah.
When there's a significant portion of people on the right, and obviously there's people on the left now that don't want us to be involved in this, and so the whole thing is disgusting to me. And we're still, I don't know.
We're seeing it. And again, I mean, I could gripe about John Thune all I want to and gripe about it. But although he's the Senate Majority Leader, if you've got to have the votes. And so you've got 53 senators there that are being paid by their special interests. And they are the ones that are, putting a stopper in front of it. I don't think John Thune wants it to happen, because what does a good leader do? They whip the votes. They get the votes done. What is it going to take to get your vote? What is it? If you're a hard stop on the Save America Act, if you're a conservative who is a hard no on requiring ID to vote, I don't think you're a conservative. I really don't. And if you are a bought and paid for conservative, because there's no way in the world you could rationalize that stuff. And so the filibuster is an old archaic thing, and the way it's being used now is bastardized because that's not the way that it was intended. And they're like, well, we can't break these Senate rules and procedures. You created them yourself. You're talking about all this stuff, and it's so frustrating. They don't get it. And I know Jesse Kelly is saying right here in this what I was about to say. So go ahead and just read him.
Okay. The GOP does not fully understand the simmering hatred their base has for mass immigration that has trashed this country. You can be the perfect candidate in every way, and a single statement about amnesty will cost you everything. We demand deportations, all of them. Now, I think this is directed at
Lindell.
Mike Lindell.
Yeah, Mike Lindell.
Mike Lindell came out.
I don't know that he would have won anyway, but
right. But he did come out and say something along that there needs to be a plan or something. I can't even remember his exact comments. He's out there saying it was taken out of context. I know that. And obviously, full disclosure, we do run a MyPillow ad on the show where you can go to mypillow.com and his products are great. Use promo code PH. But yeah, he stepped in it, and we're just past the point of wanting excuses. We don't want excuses. And look, I know how you feel about it. Somebody that's brought over the border doesn't even remember Mexico. They were brought here when they were 5 years old. I get it. I understand that. But when we were told we were getting deportations, and then we get told, well, we're not going to touch hospitals. I'm sorry, we're not going to touch hotels, and we're not going to touch
the service industry.
The service industry. And that was the donors, man. That's
all
that was, and that's it's infuriating because we've had 3 elections. We had this 2016, and Paul Ryden wouldn't let us build the wall. We had 2020. This is what the election was about, and it was stolen. We had 2024. The American people want our country back, and they want the demographic demise reversed. They want the demographics reversed.
Yeah,
and we're being told no.
And
even though 1 million deportations, I mean, like, that's better than anything that's ever been done in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. The Trump administration is deporting and more than anybody would ever do. Like in our lifetime, it's the best that it has ever been.
Sure.
But 1 million is not 20 million. It is not near enough.
Well, and because we're going to continue to see cases like you had earlier with the 68-year-old guy getting stabbed. Are there good people here that are escaping extreme poverty and coming to America for a better life? They're doing it the wrong way. So I can't sit here and feel a ton of sympathy for them. But at the same time, I'm not equating those to the same people as the ones that came in the last 4 years under Biden.
Military-age men.
Yeah, military-age men milking the system, receiving all this money, staying in hotels, and now they're out here committing crimes because they came, as I said, not to be repetitive, but they came out of these prisons down there. They were criminals where they came from, and now they're being criminals, and the stakes are a lot higher with all the money that we have here in the United States. When you commit a robbery in Venezuela versus a robbery in New York City, much more lucrative.
Folks, tomorrow on the program, we'll be wishing you a happy Friday morning, and I believe Eric Haynes should be back in seat number 3, so we're excited to have him back, unless something changes, but we're going to be here with bells on. Want to give a shout-out to our sponsors, Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 24/7, Sherrod Chiropractic, and also want to remind everybody the Paul Harrell program is sponsored by the Healing Veterans Project. Go there now, make your donations. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Go there now, make your donations, and help these veterans get the vital care that they need, that they desperately need. Right there it is, healingveteransproject.us. We will see you guys tomorrow.